Chimamanda Adichie is a Nigerian writer and a public speaker who is regarded as a central figure in post-colonial feminist literature. Recently, a video of her has been trending about how Africa practice our Christianity, especially Catholics. I want us to watch this particular video. I will be back.
In this context of a more nuanced understanding of tyranny, please permit me to tell you a personal story. About 2 years ago, I gave a press interview in which I said that the Catholic Church in Nigeria had become too much about money. Any honest-minded person knows this is true. It is flagrantly, self-evidently true in so many churches all over this country. And the point of calling this out is so that church leaders might curtail this unchristian practice, which is driving people away from attending services. Anyway, this criticism of mine appeared to upset quite a few church leaders, not all of them, because I think it is important to note that there are a few notable church leaders who are able to acknowledge the truth in constructive criticism. But it takes just one leader who is unable to take criticism to taint the perception one has of all leaders. Some months after I gave that interview, my mother died very unexpectedly. And this not long after my father had also died unexpectedly. In fact, I had by this time forgotten about that interview. But the priest in my hometown, a man called Christopher Eze, had not. And so at my mother's funeral, while my siblings and I sat in the front pew, our minds still in disbelief and our hearts broken with grief, this priest began to crudely and verbally attack me for daring to criticize the church. Later, his bishop, his superior, who apparently was also upset that I had dared to criticize the church for being materialistic, supported this priest. I spoke privately to a number of Catholics I respected about this incident, the sort of people who speak out boldly about government corruption. And I was struck by how quick all of them were to tell me, don't talk publicly about this, don't go public. A friend, who is no longer a friend, who is also very outwardly religious, told me that he would take me so that we could go and beg the bishop, so that the bishop would reprimand the priest, but quietly, behind closed doors, hush, 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 for the sake of peace. But I was not asking for peace. I was asking for justice. I wanted the bishop to do the right thing, to take responsibility, to reprimand the priest in the same public way that the priest had desecrated my mother's funeral, to set a precedence for consequences, and therefore make sure that no other priest would turn what is often one of the saddest days of a person's life into a venue for settling petty scores. Anyway, that did not happen. I can tell you that as I stand here, I am still filled with a shimmering, glowering, unending rage. But why did I choose to tell you this story? Because it made me realize how often in this country we sweep aside injustice in the name of peace. But it is always a fragile and hollow peace. Because as long as we refuse to untangle the knots of injustice, real peace cannot thrive. And so in the name of peace, we say things like, okay, just leave it. Okay, it's enough now. Okay, it was very bad, but you should just stop talking about it. Okay, just manage it now, we don't do. And by saying these, we continue to make mediocrity our norm. We fail to hold leaders accountable, and we turn we fail to hold leaders accountable, and we turn what should be transparent systems into ugly, opaque cults. My experience also made me begin to think that there is something dead in us, something dead in our society, a death of self-awareness, a death of self-reflection, a death of compassion, a death of intellectual curiosity, a death of the ability for self-criticism. And I think it is time for a collective resurrection, so to speak. We cannot refuse to practice self-criticism and yet criticize the government. We cannot ignore the abuses by our religious, our traditional, our community leaders, and focus only on the abuses of political leaders. We cannot want to hide our own institutional failures while demanding transparency from government institutions. The first question we must ask is, what is the right thing to do? Not what is the materially beneficial thing to do, or what is the institutionally beneficial thing to do, but what is the right thing to do? Because if we do not do this, if we continue to sweep away injustice for the sake of a hollow peace, then we will leave behind for our children and their children an utterly bleak inheritance.
So that was Chimamanda Adichie, and she has really put up some important message out there. You know, in Africa, when it comes to religion, it's very sensitive topic for us to touch. It's very sensitive because religion has really taken over Africa, and sometimes it's difficult for some of us to touch on religion, because whenever you start trying to go deep into religion, you are going to be tagged as antichrist, and so most of the times we normally run away from it. But whether we like it or not, the fact of the matter is money is now the main pillars of religion at the moment. Money has become the main pillars of religion in Africa, because when you go to church and you don't pay your tithes, you are not going to be registered as a member. Yeah, you have to make money, but I don't think coming to church should be based on how much I have. Coming to church is first to listen to the word of God to try and socialize with good-hearted people and also learn moral messages that can guide me to succeed in life. That is why majority comes to church. But now they come to church and everything have to be be about money. That is what this woman message she is trying to project. But it seems she has really called a lot of enemy, or she has made a lot of enemies for herself. Anyway, it's a very sensitive issue, but most of the times we have to address it once a while. Those who want to join my Telegram group can go to my description box and click on the Telegram link and join us for us to talk about the well-being of Africa and Africans in diaspora. And if also today is your first time coming to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification button so that anytime I upload any great content, you will be notified. I'm always your guy, De-Graft Amoako. Thanks for watching.